Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? We have for you the latest updates from the swamp, that is Washington, D.C., which is, of course, dominated by the worst aspects of the Marxist left. Now, we have the Democrats who are finding Joe Biden to be one hell of a pushover. He literally, and he kind of admitted this in a kind of faux moment, that he signs anything they put in front of him. And today, what they're signing, or what they will be signing here, he hasn't signed it yet, but what they're moving towards, thanks to Senator Liz Warren, and we have Chuck Schumer there, and the other guy, I don't know who he is. They're pushing forward for the student debt forgiveness of a total of $50,000. They've been saying they're going to do it for a long time, but now it's actually going to happen by the looks of things. And not only that, they're going one further. They want to get rid of the tax payments that would go when the student debt is forgiven. So they want to get rid of the tax payments as well. So essentially people are getting their Marxist indoctrination free on the house, paid for by working class people who go to trade schools and actually get a proper job. So let's get into this clip. We've got a clip of them basically smelling each other's farts, patting each other on the back for the job well done, and then they let slip that little thing about Joe Biden. So we'll get into that now, but if you haven't yet, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this around. If you aren't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. It really helps this small channel grow. We are struggling because of the sectioning off of independent commentary channels. So it'd be great if you could do that. Let's go.
So we have very good news for so many people who have student debt, a load of student debt on their shoulders. They could be young people, middle-aged, they could be parents. And the good news is this: we've made another good step forward on our progress. Senators Warren and Menendez authored an amendment that said if student debt is forgiven, you no longer have to pay taxes on it. You used to have to pay taxes on it, and that was no good. I was able to add it to the American Rescue Plan we just passed, so now it's law. Once student debt is forgiven, no matter how much, no taxes.
It's a big deal. Especially as we try to get President Biden to forgive up to $50,000 of student debt. Imagine you finally get a cancellation of your debt and you get a tax bill from the IRS. It's worth about $2,200 for every $10,000 of debt relief. So you get a $30,000 relief. All of a sudden you would have gotten hit with a $6,000 tax bill from the IRS. Based upon the legislation that is now law that the leader helped us with, we now guarantee that no student who gets relief ultimately gets a tax bill, and that's a big deal.
Right, and this is about moving forward. This is our moment of momentum. We have gotten one more piece in place, and now we're just ready for President Biden to sign the piece of paper to say cancel $50,000 worth of student loan debt. And when he does that, he will close the racial wealth gap between blacks and whites who have student loan debt by 25 points, between Latinos and others by 25 points.
So it's about equity. That's what it's about. You notice in the beginning, I'm talking about 15, 20 years ago when the culture war started, when the progressive Marxism push began. It was about equality, and then slowly it's turned into equity. This is a thing with the left, right? And it's the same whether it's Britain, Canada, America, Australia, anywhere in the Western Hemisphere. The socialist left are very good at using terminology and words to mask their intentions. And only people who have evil intentions need to do that. If your intentions are honest and pure, you don't need to mask your intentions under the guise of equity. You understand what I'm saying? You've got to, if you have evil intentions, you have to make them sound benevolent. You have to make them sound like it's the best thing in the world. Because I hate to say it, but there are a lot of stupid people out there. And Senator Warren's whole demeanor there made me just look at her, and Chuck Schumer to a lesser extent, but Senator Warren especially. She's so see-through. It is unbelievable. She's like Pelosi. But what strikes me, is there's a lot of people that can't see it. There's a lot of people that can't see how see-through she is. Now let's go back. Watch again, because there's some valid points I want to make.
So we have very good news for so many people who have student debt, a load of student debt on their shoulders. They could be young people, middle-aged, they could be parents. And the good news is this: we've made another good step forward on our progress. Senators Warren and Menendez authored an amendment that said if student debt is forgiven, you no longer have to pay taxes on it. You used to have...
So this is a total forgiveness, right? This is the total abandonment of the responsibilities that people should have, right? This is for the legions of people who went to college and studied useless things, right? They studied gender studies. They got a degree in race studies. I mean, for heaven's sakes, right? If you call yourself anti-ism and anti-ist, and you've got a degree in race, in the immutable characteristics, if you've got a degree in that, you are far closer to those Germans that lived in the 1930s and 1940s than President Donald Trump ever would be, right? This is the total abandonment of responsibilities. This is saying that no matter what happens, no matter you go to college, you can study your social studies, you can get your major in romantic comedies. That actually happened. A writer for one of these BuzzFeed, Vox type websites, she got her major in romantic comedies. Now, she went on to get a job with like Vox, that is, not Fox, Vox or BuzzFeed and Huffington Post, the like. But most don't. Most end up with $50,000 worth of debt that they have to pay the tax on. And they find their utter astonishment that Ford or some huge tech company or huge manufacturing company, huge research and development company doesn't want to hire someone who majored in immutable characteristics. Who would want to do that? What value do you bring to the company? Right? So this is them, and I mean these three here, taking the responsibility away from the people who made very poor decisions with their tuition, and they're putting the pay, because that money still has to be paid. When they say forgiven, it just means that the people who took out the loans, who signed the contract, don't have to pay for it, or the tax. That tax has to still be paid, and who do you think pays for that? Working class, decent, hard-working Americans who went to trade school, or they probably went to the military, or they just went straight into work after school, and they've actually got jobs on the production line. They've actually got jobs in the research development department. They've got jobs in the tech companies. The plumbers, the carpenters, bricklayers, plasterers, wallpaper, all kinds of stuff, right? They're paying for it. They're paying for your major in romantic comedies.
You have to pay taxes on it, and that was no good. I was able to add it to the American Rescue Plan we just...
So you notice that the COVID stimulus bill became the American Rescue Plan. Remember what I said, right? Remember what I said about how they mask things with words. And let me tell you something. The Democrats are, you've got to give it to them, they're experts at that. They are brilliant at using terminology and semantics to fool people who can't see what's happening into thinking that that's just brilliant. Good on you. American Rescue. Who could oppose an American Rescue Plan? You see what I mean? COVID stimulus doesn't sound... You could oppose something like that. But an American Rescue Bill? Who could oppose something so noble? Something so honourable? Right? But what does it need rescuing from? Wasn't this knee-jerk lockdown the response of Democrats who, at the time, with Donald Trump still being in the White House, were hell-bent on ruining as much of America as they could and trying to blame it all on Donald Trump. Say, look, this is what's happening under Donald Trump's America. This is Donald Trump's America. So if America needs a rescue plan, if it needs rescuing, it needs rescuing from the Democrats. And cancelling student debt is the least of the priorities that should be on the table for rescuing America, if it needs rescuing at all.
Passed, so now it's law. Once student debt is forgiven, no matter how much, no taxes.
It's a big deal, especially as we try.
No taxes. They love the old no taxes thing. Yeah, these people don't pay taxes themselves. They have all these loophole stuff. So for them, no taxes is great.
To get President Biden to forgive up to $50,000 of student debt. Imagine you finally get a cancellation of your debt and you get a tax bill from the IRS. It's worth about $2,200 for every $10,000 of debt relief. So you get a $30,000 relief. All of a sudden, you would have gotten hit with a $6,000 tax bill from the IRS. Based upon the legislation that is now law that the leader helped us with, we now guarantee that no student who gets relief ultimately gets a tax bill, and that's a big deal.
Right, and this is about moving forward. This is our moment of momentum.
You see what I mean about how see-through she is, and when they say that we're moving forward, she means progressivism. How see-through is this person?
We have gotten one more piece in place, and now we're just ready for President Biden to sign the piece of paper to say cancel $50,000 worth of student loan debt.
And he will do it. You know he will. They'll just push it in front of him and say, here, Uncle Biden, sign on the line, and then we'll get you your nice cup of Horlicks, and we'll wrap you up, and, we'll pack you off and that. That's what they'll do. They'll just put it in front of him. They could put anything in front of him. He doesn't know what he's doing. He is the first president I've ever known who has handlers, right? Actual handlers. Donald Trump was the handler for the rest of his team, right? He was the man in charge, the commander-in-chief. Biden has the handlers, right? He doesn't handle anyone else. He has handlers for him. That should concern you.
And when he does that, he will close the racial wealth gap between blacks and whites who have student loan debt by 25 points, between Latinos and others by 25 points.
Now, this is what I mean. One, it's about equity, as what I've said. But secondly, right, and equity is not good, right? Because there is only a finite amount of things, right? And with the American population exploding, especially due to mass immigration, the more people there are, the less things there are to go around, right? So equity means basically an equal amount of everything for everyone. So the more people there are, the less of things you will have yourself individually, right? You see what I'm saying? Secondly, this is what I'm saying about poor choice of tuition. A lot of people from particular groups won't go for the courses like based in science and math and things like that, and instead they go for much more kind of socialist, humanities based courses. And I'm afraid to say the demand for people with majors, degrees and this type of thing in humanities subjects, in race, for example. I mean, who would take a college course in race studies? Why would you do that? What value is that going to bring to anyone, right? Especially you. You are the student. Go and study engineering. Even, doesn't matter what background you are. If you want to improve your community, if you come from an impoverished African American background, you want to help your family, you want to uplift your family, study engineering. Study chemical engineering.
There's not a single thing he could do on his own in one fell swoop to make that kind of difference. It would be historic.
Oh, it'll be historical, right? And that's the clip. So people who signed a contract to take out a loan for tuition, they agreed to it, are now being given debt forgiveness. So they've essentially got their indoctrination free on the house. Of course, as I said, it doesn't always mean it's actually free. Someone has to pay for that. And someone will pay for that. The taxpayer. And you know it's going to pass. I mean, it's already in law. It's just got to wait for Joe Biden to sign it off. The most beloved president in history. His poll numbers are through the roof. Everyone loves him, remember. Wink, wink. Terrible. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't yet, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video around to social media. Only takes a few moments to do those things, and it would really help this small channel out to grow. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.